Welcome to this edition of the Morning Call, and thank you again for joining us. Chad has become the next country in Africa to join in the struggles to keep its economy afloat after the likes of Zimbabwe, Nigeria, and South Africa across the continent. Now, the country's government decision for the country's government made a decision for the months, or rather 18 months, for civil servants not to be paid, and in a view of trying to increase its spending. Now, this will boost government spending, according to Idriss Deby, the president of the country. And on the other hand, it has angered unions in the country. Now, the country has also taken a total of other 16 measures, including that one to counter a looming economic crisis.
University students and those in other institutions have expressed their anger following the announcement to remove student bursaries in the country, one of the 16 measures the government took to deal with the crisis. According to Mahamat Borgu, the Director General of Superior Education, this measure could save about 7 to 9 billion. He also said the students should understand the measures which will eventually benefit the universities. But for the students, the government's argument of using funds meant for their bursaries for other works in the university doesn't carry much weight. We now speak to Ahmad Mahamat Hassan, who is a political analyst. Hello, Mr. Hassan. Is this the beginning of a new wave of social tensions in Chad?
Le président Deby lui-même avait annoncé déjà en 2015.
President Deby himself had even announced in 2015 that the situation was difficult and that it would be worse in 2016. Today, Chad is struggling to pay its employees. There are salary delays. Officials find themselves in a precarious social situation, high cost of living. The state is no longer able to meet its expenses. The school and university systems are disrupted. The police are on surveillance duty in the city of N'Djamena. Unions casually refer to the dry strike. So Chad is really in the midst of a kind of enormous, complicated socio-political conflict and would not want to relieve the situation before election held a few months ago, where there were political protests. And how would you describe the persistent defiance that have been going on for months now?
Écoutez, le problème n'est pas seulement que le Tchad est en crise, ça c'est une réalité.
The problem is not just that Chad is in crisis. That's a reality, because for some years now, particularly in 2003, they decided to establish the development and especially the functioning of the state virtually on oil revenues. And these revenues being volatile, Chad has somewhat forsaken financial and public governance, alluding to the management of taxes or other indirect taxes, customs, and the problem is that Chadians think if the country is like this due to poor financial management and not because of small households, students and officials bear the consequences. It is this conception that people have and that shows the degree of deception, suspicion, tension, if not the country is ineffectively in economic and financial recession, and members of the CEMAC zone are aware. They understand the situation Chad that has virtually exhausted its statutory reserves. Mr. Hassan, the new measures taken by the state to control the crisis, in your opinion, are they bad?
Le fonctionnement de l'État, le train de vie de l'État, c'est quand même des mesures.
When it comes to the review of the operation, the lifestyle of the state, the measures are still quite altogether as it reviews waste, refocuses, concentrates priorities, of course. We do not touch the base salaries. It does not close integration with the young unemployed graduates. There are many on the priorities that need to be highlighted, but Chadian authorities could proceed. On the contrary, promote cooperation and stop the charges which serve nothing. Try to see some measures taken which may be quite justified, and they can be positive in the context of the consolidation of certain investments. And this is an opportunity you must sit and discuss with partners. The state would have to consult with the social partners, employers, unions from all sectors, as well as student associations. And this could have been done in a national plan that everyone brings its share of contribution to overcome this difficult time, this lack of ability to give confidence, or even the lack of communication that could help get over the bitter pill.
Sa part de contribution à ce passage pour que le pays puisse s'en sortir. Et c'est cette remise en confiance qui a peut-être manqué, ou le déficit de communication qui aurait manqué au gouvernement dans le cadre de faire avaler cette pilule assez amère quand même.
That was Ahmed Mohamed Hassan. He's a political analyst in N'Djamena, Chad. We'll be giving you more stories coming out of Chad, and you can also follow more updates on our website, africanews.com. We'll be right back with the African Journal. Now, Tunisia's human rights record has come in for some praise both locally and internationally. But while celebrating the gains made, activists in the country have said more must be done to eliminate torture within the country. Have a look at this.
Tunisia has come a long way in upholding human rights and has made some progress, according to the president of the Tunisian Human Rights League. At a press conference in Tunis, Abdessatta Ben Moussa, however, pointed out that the North African country could do better in upholding human rights. This is as the country emphasized its determination to the cause. We need that in Tunisia torture is eliminated. It is respect for physical integrity, respect for right of defense, respect for the press. There are advancements, there is progress, but we could do better. Meanwhile, in July, Human Rights Watch said Tunisia's draft law on reconciliation in the economic and financial sectors will provide amnesty for public officials and state employees for acts related to financial corruption and misuse of public funds.
The death of Somali journalist Abdulaziz Ali should not be another statistic. Statements made by the Committee to Protect Journalists, which has urged the Somali government to open a credible inquiry into the death of the journalist.
A Somali journalist killed on Tuesday by gunmen in the capital Mogadishu has been laid to rest. Abdulaziz Ali, a radio journalist, was shot dead by unidentified armed men. Ali is the 13th journalist working for Radio Shabali to have been murdered since 2007. We urge the Somali government, which is responsible for security, to stop those behind the murder of the journalist. A journalist is not armed with weapons, but he works for the Somali people. So it is unacceptable to hear every day that a journalist is killed. Killings of journalists in the war-torn country is not uncommon. The country is said to be one of the world's most dangerous nations for media workers. The killings are mostly blamed on Al-Shabaab, the Islamist militant group attempting to oust the UN-backed government. Since the fatal shooting of Ali, the Committee to Protect Journalists has charged Somali authorities to investigate the attack and bring the perpetrators to justice.
Now, while life is gradually returning to some parts of northern Nigeria, and the secondary schools in Borno have reopened after they were closed some 2 years ago when Boko Haram kidnapped more than 200 school children. Now, Borno has suffered greatly in the hands of the Islamist militant group. Now, and we prepared a report. Have a look at what we had.
Secondary schools in Nigeria's war-torn Borno state reopened on Monday since being shut down more than 2 years ago. The public schools were shut down in March 2014 after homegrown insurgent group Boko Haram attacked a neighboring town. The state managed to reopen primary schools in the area, but secondary schools were taken over by IDPs.
I'm appealing to the state government and the federal government to come to our aid and consider us so that the IDPs should at least have a location whereby they will move the IDPs to that side so that our peoples will be able to go back to their various schools.
According to the UN, Boko Haram's 7-year insurgency to set up an Islamic state in the north has forced more than 1 million children out of schools.
When the school was closed, I was just staying at home doing nothing. And I was bothered because the school was closed because of the IDPs. And now I'm very happy because I got a school and they are teaching us very important things.
Despite schools being reopened, insecurity and fear of violence have kept many at bay.